Morning show, ladies and gentlemen. Today's date is January 23rd, 2025. It is Thursday, and we got some stuff to get into today. Josh Allen and these Bills, the biggest hurdles. Patrick Mahomes talks the refs, and we'll also get into our breakdowns and predictions for the AFC and NFC championship games. If you have not, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, click that bell, turn on your notifications that way you don't miss a stream. Also, make sure you hit that like, that thumbs up as we get into it. Shout out to the Wrench Gang, shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers as we get into it. Get into it. It's been cold. It has been ice cold throughout the states. You go down south, Pensacola. I was receiving videos and pictures. Tons of snow in Pensacola, Florida, New Orleans, Texas, snow out on the beach. It's been absolutely crazy what is going on. Up here in the north, it's been freezing. We had snow. I was actually out there with the snow blower, hurt my knee. My back's been killing me. It's been really wild as far as the weather. It's looking like it's actually going to warm up soon here, so I'm excited about that. And we'll get out of these negative degree temperatures as we keep it going. Shout out to DJ Jeans, as I just finished my leftover beef ribs for lunch after smoking the Texans. I wonder where I can find some juicy buffalo for this weekend. Some juicy buffalo. Danny, what up, man? Says left one of these, and Josh Allen's biggest hurdle will be the referees getting so bad and obvious that Mahomes feels compelled to mention the big discrepancy, really big. Like I said, we got some things to talk about. We got some things to talk about today. Shout out to you, Big T in the building. Big T in the check-in. What's up, Jeff King? Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Cold as ice in central New York. It's freezing. It's freezing, y'all. But yeah, beyond it being cold, we got some good stuff that'll get you going today. Hopefully heat you up as we get into these stories. Like I said, we're going to get into Patrick Mahomes and these refs. Patrick Mahomes and these refs. This has been a hot topic over the past couple weeks. This has definitely been a story that has got everybody going, from the memes to serious conversations. And so we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. We're going to give our thoughts as we get into this one. Since Patrick Mahomes disagrees, Chiefs are getting favorable calls. So here we go.
I just try to play football at the end of the day. The referees are doing their best to call the game as fair and as proper as they possibly can, and all you can do is go out there and play the game that you love as hard as you can and live with the results. And so for me, it's to go out there, play hard, try to do whatever I can to win the football game, and then live with the results based off my effort and the way that we played the game. And so I think that's what we preach here in Kansas City. I haven't felt any different. You get new referees every year. You get new circumstances, and you never can really tell because every play is different. That's what makes the NFL so special. And so I feel like I've just continued to play the game, and I just try to win, and whatever happens kind of happens.
So this is the same individual that had so much to say when him and Josh Allen went at it, and he lost based on a call. Some of you may have forgot about that game, but Patrick Mahomes was visibly upset. He even said something to Josh Allen at the end of the game about it. So it's very rich. It's very rich to hear this coming from him. Just get out there, just play the game, just accept the outcome of the calls. It almost sounds like he's trying to get people ready for what's about to happen. Let's get into this one. Says the Houston Texans might think Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs received favorable calls from the game officials, but Mahomes doesn't agree. I don't feel that way, Mahomes said Wednesday as the Chiefs began preparations for Sunday's AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills at Arrowhead Stadium. At the end of the day, the referees are doing their best to call the game as fair and as proper as they possibly can, and all you can do is go out there and play the game that you love as hard as you can and live with the results. I think that's what we preach here in Kansas City. That's what they preach out there in Kansas City. You get new referees every year. You get new circumstances, and you could never really tell because every play is different, and that's what makes the NFL so special. I feel like I've just continued to play the game and I just try to win. And whatever happens, kind of happens. Now, listen, this is a very hot topic. All right. Now, you guys know I'm not a big fan of getting into the whole, oh, it's rigged and this is rigged and that's rigged. Now, what I do believe is sometimes, there could be potentially, a ref or two that can influence decisions and can influence games, right? That's what I do believe. Now, when it comes into the calls and the situations, we know, and we've seen it, and I think we've seen it more than usual this season, where there have been specific calls in these games that have been questionable and raise a lot of eyebrows. Now, on the flip side, we see other quarterbacks, where things happen and the calls aren't there. And so it starts to make people question, well, what the hell's going on? Why does Patrick get these calls, but maybe my quarterback doesn't, or maybe this quarterback doesn't? And so, I think, to be honest, one of the big problems when it comes to these Kansas City games is they are highly scrutinized. I'm not sure if there's an extra set of eyes on Patrick Mahomes, but it just seems like the refs are totally dialed in to whatever happens to him. And even the slightest of touch will lead to a flag. And it's really unfortunate because this is not football to us, for who have been watching it for a long time. This is not how the game is played or how the game should be played for some of us who've been watching this game for a long time. So, it's really sad to see what's going on here. Now, thoughts in regards to the situation, specifically into what he's saying is, I think he's getting the people prepared. I think he's getting everyone who's going to be watching on Sunday, specifically what may or may not happen coming into this game as we keep it going. Says the Texans were twice penalized for hits against Mahomes, and last week's divisional round game both happened to Chiefs scoring drives, with one being on third down to extend the drive. We knew it was going to be us versus the refs going into this game, Texans defensive end Will Anderson Jr. said. After the 23-14 loss, the Chiefs versus Bills has developed into one of the NFL's top rivalries. This will be the fourth time in 5 seasons that the teams have met in the playoffs and their second matchup in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs won the first 3, but the Bills have won the regular season matchup between the teams in each of the past 4 seasons. So there you go. There you go. Now, I do want to point this out before we keep it going. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I have to point this out. And so before I get into the chat, before I get into the comments, I have to point this out. This will be the 4th time that the Bills and the Chiefs meet in the playoffs. Now, as the Bills fans and Bills Mafia know, that number does not sit right with us. Four times does not sit right with us. And so I think this is very interesting. I think there's going to be a lot riding on this game, and we're going to see flags. We're going to see ridiculous calls. So we might as well get prepared for it, right? If you're prepared for it, it's less of a blow. If you're not prepared for it and your expectations are so high and you're thinking that this is just going to be a game called fair, I think you're looking at it the wrong way. Now, once again, I'm not saying that I think the game is rigged. I just think that these games with Kansas City are highly scrutinized, considering these are the Super Bowl champions. This is Patrick Mahomes, right? He is the poster child for the NFL. So when you look at these games and how the refs may, micromanage the situation when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, I think that's why these calls happen, and I think that's why it's kind of ridiculous that it happens. My thing is, Patrick, don't be a hypocrite. You went off. And had a conversation with Josh Allen on the field because you didn't like that offsides called when you guys were going through the motions and the issues and you had a big touchdown call back. So I'm just saying, don't be a hypocrite. Now let me get into this chat with y'all. So does someone expect him to answer this any different? Yeah, I don't think anybody did. Jamie says, is anyone surprised that he disagrees the way they treated Josh last year? Shout out to you, Blind Faith. Good morning. Good morning. Shout out to Texas in the building. Jason says it's 3 degrees here in Bridgewater, Ohio. It was -4 this morning in Fairmont, West Virginia, where I live. It's tough. Tough for sure. Man, you in two places. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see you just talking about the weather. I'm like, man, you in two places at the same time? Chris TV says Mahomes probably could use a vacation. Tyrone says, why would you defend something that is not? Maybe you feel guilty, right? Because we're starting to see the conversation come up more and more. So it's like, okay, why is this being mentioned so much now? Why are they okay with sticking up for the refs now? People have been talking about the refs and calls and situations for years. Why are they starting to come out now before the championship and the Super Bowl and things like that? I think that's really interesting, right? As they say, a hit dog will what? Holla. DJ James says, but did the refs come over to the sideline and give Mahomes an apology? I knew someone was going to bring that up. I'm sure they have. I'm sure we just seen that the ref went over to Allen and apologized, and now it's maybe the one time that we've seen it. It's happened. It's happened. They just didn't display it on TV before, but it's happened. Without a doubt. Shout out to Jamie, says, or whine every time you get hit. That call on Deion Dawkins was ridiculous. Hey, we seen Jared Goff get his top rocked couple weeks ago. And, nobody said anything about it. No flag, nothing like that. Well, he was, trying to block. And at that point, he wasn't a quarterback anymore. A quarterback's a quarterback. And in fact, it's unnecessary roughness if anybody gets hit in the helmet. But that wasn't called. So like I said, these situations where, Mahomes is heavily looked at in every play, I don't think that, these other quarterbacks are being looked at the same. I don't think they are. As DJ James says, but you got to admit that the refs have made bad calls against the Chiefs. Everybody's looking for a reason to complain on the ref calls for KC. Chris V says it's not only spit on the face of the NFL, but also sport of football as a whole. Interesting. Okay. Jason Ware says, I dislike Tom Brady, but even said the calls last week were straight up BS. There you go. DJ Jean says, how many Super Bowl championships do the Bills have? They've been there 4 times. Shout out to Nick S. Says Bills are due for a Super Bowl win after Damar Hamlin debacle. Shout out to you, Nick. One game away. Shout out to you, Dan. Good morning to you. Jamie says referee Clay Martin has been under scrutiny multiple times after Chiefs games. Coincidence? Why is it always after a Chiefs game? That's the problem, right? Always after a Chiefs game. No other game. It's just the Chiefs game. And I think, like I said, this is the problem. This is the issue, right? Look at his face. Look at his face while the refs are talking. You better get it right. It's wild to me. It's wild. And for a player to come out and say this, like I said, for Patrick Mahomes to come out and say it in an actual press conference, that's very wild. Very wild. Lewis says, so Kansas will win this weekend. Okay, I guess I won't watch the game no more. We're not there yet. We're not there. We're going to get to the predictions soon. Dan says, I think Kansas will carry on the Wayward Sons to the Super Bowl. I'm just going to shake my head to that. Shout out to you, Jennifer. Good morning to you. Good to see you this morning. Shout out to Mr. Kojak. Says preferential nudge for them Chiefs. As Jonas says, this Sunday, the winners will win, and it won't be any of the home teams either. Washington Redskins versus the Buffalo Bills. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it momentarily. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up as we keep it going. Like I said, my big thing coming into this story here specifically is not looking at it as, okay, the game's rigged or, this situation as it is. I think the reality of the opportunity for this team is starting to be looked at as we get into, the championship and of course the Super Bowl month. And it's really unfortunate because we want the game to be played fair. We want the game to be called fair. And so at the end of the day, when you have these kind of, conversations and when you have these kind of problems brought up, it starts going into the idea where the game is now being in favor of one team versus the other. And it sheds a negative light on the sport. We've been talking about this for years now, and it just seems like it's only going to get worse. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. Let me know what you guys think in the chat as we keep it going. Lewis says, if the Buffalo Bills win, I will go live and slam my body in the table. Listen, I woke up this morning, my knee was hurting, man. I am not jumping to a table. I can't do it. Let's get on to the next one. Make sure you guys hit that like, that thumbs up. As for the MVP finalists, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, and Lamar Jackson among AP NFL MVP finalists as we get into this one. It says Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson are finalists for the Associated Press 2024 NFL Most Valuable Player Award. Barkley, Burrow, and Jackson are also finalists for Offensive Player of the Year, and Burrow is in the running for Comeback Player of the Year. The winners will be announced at the NFL Honors on February 6th at a nationwide panel of 50 media members who regularly cover the league completed voting before the playoffs began. Here are the finalists in alphabetical order for the 8 AP NFL awards. Most Valuable Player, Allen helped the Bills win their 5th straight AFC East title. He threw 3,731 yards and 28 touchdowns and had 6 picks for a 101.4 passer rating. Allen ran for 531 yards and 12 scores. Barkley ran for 2,005 yards, the 8th best total in NFL history. He sat out Philadelphia's final regular season game when he needed 101 yards to break Eric Dickerson's record. Barkley helped the Eagles win the NFC East and advance to the conference championship game. Burrow led the NFL with a career high 4,918 yards and 43 touchdowns, but the Cincinnati Bengals finished 9-8 and missed the playoffs. And I think that's ridiculous. I think you have a situation where Burrow definitely balled out. Put the team on his shoulders, and the defense I definitely played a big factor as far as getting those Bengals across the finish line. But once again, I think it's the Bengals as a team. They have this thing where they play terrible at the beginning of the season, and then they kind of get it together towards the middle, and they would get in. But I think at this point it was too little too late, right? It didn't work. It was too late, in fact. But shout out to Joe Burrow. Goff threw for 4,629 yards, 37 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and led Detroit to the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Lions were eliminated in the divisional round by Washington, who absolutely destroyed them in a sense because I don't think the Lions were ready offensively or defensively. Jackson, the reigning winner, is seeking his 3rd MVP award after leading the Ravens to an AFC North title. Jackson has career highs of 4,172 yards, passing, 41 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions, and 119.6 passer rating, which led the NFL. He was first-team All-Pro for the 3rd time and also ran for 915 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Ravens were knocked out of the divisional round by Allen and the Buffalo Bills. As far as offensive player of the year, that's Barkley, Burrow, Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, and Jackson are finalists for that award. Chase won the receiving triple crown, leading the league with 127 receptions, 1,708 yards, and 17 touchdowns. The Bengals star wide receiver was a unanimous selection for All-Pro. Defensive Player of the Year, getting into that, you've got Eagles linebacker Zach Braun went from mostly playing special teams for the Saints to earning All-Pro honors in his first season in Philadelphia. Look at that. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery, right? Where some people think, oh, he's a bum, he's garbage, and then he goes somewhere else and balls out. We see it all the time. All-Pro edge rusher Myles Garrett, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, had 14 sacks for the Cleveland Browns. Bengals All-Pro edge rusher Trey Hendrickson led the NFL with 17.5 sacks. Broncos All-Pro cornerback Pat Surtain allowed just 37 receptions and had 4 picks. and opposing quarterbacks had a 61.1 passer rating throwing against him. This man was balling out all season. And I definitely think he's one of the reasons why the Broncos are in the position they are to be great coming into next year defensively. Steelers edge rusher, TJ Watt, the 2021 winner, had 11 sacks and six fumbles. I mean, but he didn't show up when it mattered the most, so there you go. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Raiders tight end Brock Bowers set a rookie record with 112 receptions and his 1,194 yards. Receiving were the most by a fair first-year player at his position. Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels led his team to an 8-win improvement and has the team 1 win away from Super Bowl appearance. He threw for 3,568 yards and 25 touchdowns and posted a 100.1 rating. Daniels also ran for 891 yards and 6 scores. You also got Malik Neighbors in there, Bo Nix, Brian Thomas Jr. So yeah, I mean, as far as, the awards, we will be streaming these awards on February 9th there. Oh, sorry, February 6th as we get into, the awards. There's a lot of speculation as far as the MVP. Some people are saying that it's, going to be Lamar Jackson getting his third. Some people say it's Allen. For me, it's still a toss-up. A lot of people don't like the fact that, hey, we don't want you to bring up Allen's situation with, who we had to use, even though, it was all new receivers. He's expected to do that. And then on the flip side, they want to say, well, it's Lamar's best year, so he deserves it, which is really wild to me because if you flip-flop the stats for last year, it's the same thing, but Lamar Jackson got the MVP. So we'll see what happens there. Let me know what you guys think in the chat as far as who deserves MVP before we get into the predictions. All right, let me go back to the chat. It says an Oscar performance for after he goes to hit Patrick Mahomes. An Oscar-worthy performance. Says Mahomes sprained his ankle and kept marching on, as he should. Tape it up. Get that shot. Keep it going. That's what they've been doing. Jonas says the Bills didn't have the veteran player on defense, and it's one reason they couldn't beat the Chiefs, but now they have that veteran in present and even on the field. Von Miller is going to show people. I think last week he definitely I think he showed everybody that he's still able to make plays and get out there and ball. Right? He's still got that fight in him, still got that hunger. I like seeing Von Miller show up, and I think he's going to show up in a big way this weekend as well. DJ James is only 41 degrees here. You're going to get some snow soon. You keep talking. You're going to get some snow soon. Chris TV says, well, my personal humble opinion, just because Allen may not get MVP doesn't mean he's not going to win a Super Bowl ring. Win something, right? I mean, you want the ring. Nobody cares about the MVP. You want the ring. I think the awards should be given after the Super Bowl is over and give those who are running for an MVP. Then they give out rewards. I mean, it never made sense to me as far as, why they wait right before the Super Bowl to do that. Because I think, it works in a funny way, right? Let's say you've got someone who is now heading into the Super Bowl that was in the MVP conversation. If they don't get it, what kind of narrative does that set? If they do get it, the same thing. How does that set the tone going into this game? Very interesting. And if it's really I think it's one of those things where you look at how the individual up for that award didn't get it and how they're going to respond to it in the Super Bowl. So we'll see. Sometimes you got to pop up and show them. I agree. Tyrone said the Commanders look to be balanced for a championship. They do. 100%. I agree. I think Barkley deserves it. The years with the Giants, no offense of linemen always getting injured because of weak offense linemen. Look at him now. I said that Saquon should have got it if he broke Eric Dickerson's record. I think he should have got it if he broke the record. Unfortunately, he didn't play that last game, so he didn't get it. But I think, if he'd have broke the record, then he should have got it. Jay says, imagine Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill came to Buffalo. I heard a little rumor. Well, it's not little, it's a big rumor. Big rumor is that Tyreek Hill may go to the Ravens. It's a big rumor. I think that would be crazy. I think that would be crazy for sure. Matt F said they already voted before the playoffs started. Yeah, that's what they say, right? That's what they say. Yeah. That's what they say. That's what they tell us. But all right, y'all, make sure you keep hitting that like, that thumbs up as we keep it going. We're going to get into the predictions. And let's go ahead and start off with these Commanders and the Eagles. Commanders and the Eagles. Now, this is one of the wildest scenarios that I think nobody expected to happen, right? We thought about the Rams. We thought about the Eagles. We thought about the Vikings, the Lions, maybe even the Packers. I don't think anybody's seen the Commanders having an opportunity to get themselves to a Super Bowl. And now they're one game away heading against the ever so powerful Eagles at this point. But let's get into it. Commanders, Eagles. This is going to be at 3:00 on the 26th. As far as the spread, you got the Eagles favored by 6 at home. The over-under is 47.5. Minus 280 on the money line for the Eagles, plus 230 on the money line for the Commanders. Matchup predictor, 36.3% versus 63.7%. It's very interesting for me to see that. Very interesting for me to see that. And the reason why is I know that the Eagles are a very, very good team, both offensively and defensively. And so when I look at the Commanders, I say, well, I think the Commanders have everything that the Eagles have besides a veteran quarterback and Jalen Hurts. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball. Dual threat kind of situation. The defense is very strong. They play very physical. So where is the real leverage that the Eagles have? And I say the leverage that the Eagles have is Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts has been here before. Jalen Hurts has been in this scenario. He has the experience. He has the focus. He has the poise. And so now you're asking yourself, okay, is Jayden Daniels ready for this moment? He did great against the Lions. He showed up. He played 100% well. And when I say, is he ready for the moment? I'm saying, yes, you won in the divisional, but now how are you going to perform in a game before the Super Bowl? Because the championship, we know defense wins it. This is a mistake-free game that you have to play against these Eagles. They're ready. They're focused. They've got Saquon Barkley, who can, without a doubt, break through. Good, strong power running, is easily probably going to get close to 100 yards on the ground. And then Jalen Hurts also, I think he's going to get loose. I think at this point he's going to, find his way to make some different plays. Now, we know if the run game's not there, where he's going to get it to Goddard. He's going to get it to Brown. He's got options to move that ball as well. And then on the flip side, the offensive line is definitely going to give Jalen Hurts, good opportunities to make plays and have the time to do it. So the question is, what's going to happen as far as the defense with the Commanders? Are they going to break through? Are they going to play that zone and be very, very effective at it? I think one of the biggest things for me, like I said, is you have kind of an even match. But the problem for me is Jayden Daniels coming into this game up against so much experience, right? The Eagles are at home. You're now on the road. You're playing in a different atmosphere. The Lions, with Jared Goff, I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to make those kind of mistakes. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to give you those kind of opportunities because they're going to keep that ball on the ground a lot more than what Jared Goff did. And so, coming into this one on the flip side, right? Jayden Daniels loves a run. Great runner. Get it to Robinson. He's going to move around as well. You've got good opportunities down the field for the Commanders too. So for me in this one, it's going to be the experience. It's going to be experience versus talent, right? Jayden Daniels is definitely talented. I think he's shown us what he can do against a Lions team, but coming into the complete package in the Eagles is definitely going to be the true test. If he can do it, my goodness. If he can do it, definitely going to be huge, definitely going to be not just he's already made a legacy for himself, but this will be, a stamp on his career moving forward as far as being treated at in the elite status. And, heading to a Super Bowl at that, this could be huge. Now, shout out to you, Frederick. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you. Let's keep it going. Says, what's good, Jayden Rich gang? Let's go. Let's go. So as far as Daniels, I see the opportunity here as, one of those, I can go out here and shock the world moments, right? I can go out here and shock the world. I'm fresh. I'm young. I'm a rookie. Nobody believes that I can do it. And I think that's kind of the fire and the kind of energy that can take a player from just doing okay in this kind of situation to actually playing their best football and surprising not only the fans, but the other team. And so when we get into this one, I want to just break things down from a point of production. You've got 331 of 480 on 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. On the flip side, Hurts 248 of 361, 2,903 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Daniels had 891 yards, 6 touchdowns. Barkley 2,005, 13 touchdowns. So when I say dual threat, we're talking about obviously Jayden Daniels being able to pass the ball and run the ball. Jalen Hurts doesn't really have to do that. You've got your tank in Saquon Barkley, your workhorse in Saquon Barkley, who's going to do all the running. Now, if I need to, we can play the all right, I'm going to use him as a decoy and I can run the ball, right? You're going to focus all your attention on Saquon Barkley. Well, okay, that'll open the field up for me and I could run as well, or I can throw that ball down the field. And so that's where the biggest task that this defense is going to have for Jalen Hurts. On the flip side, you almost have the same situation with Daniels. Daniels, if he finds that empty lane, he's going to take it. All right, it's not there. I can dump it off and, find those first downs. But I think getting down the field is going to be the biggest difference for these two teams, because who's going to get that one stop? Who's going to make that one pick? And that's where the Commanders defense did very good in the Lions game. Now, as I said, I'm not sure if Jalen Hurts is going to make those same kind of mistakes, but, you get a kind of situation where this Commanders defense plays very physical. They're able to create a fumble, create some opportunities. That's where the problem will come for these Eagles in this game. I think this is going to be a very tight one. I get Vegas is saying, Eagles by 6 at home. Over-under's 47.5. I could definitely see this being, once again, a low-scoring game, and then kind of opening up towards, into the second, going into the second half. This is tough. It's very tough. But something's telling me that Jayden Daniels is going to do some magic in this game. And it's really wild to say that because this is a rookie coming into a championship game. He's never been in this kind of moment before. But to tell you the truth, I think going against the Lions might as well have been a championship game. So what the hell is the difference in this one? Lions, Eagles, what does it matter? If this defense can play lights out like they just did against the Lions, and if this offense can continue to be efficient and focused, the Eagles are going to have a big problem. What if the Commanders have to lose? They haven't been here in a while. The Eagles have been here. So the pressure is more on the Eagles at home. I think the Commanders go out there and have fun and play a great game. They could very well get out of Philadelphia and head to a Super Bowl. So I'm going to go with the Commanders on this one. I'm going to go against the grain. It's not going to be easy at all. Your work's going to be cut out for you. But I think the Commanders are going to have a situation where it's going to be that one play that changes everything. that one possession that changes everything and moves everything in their favor. And I'm going to take them in a close one by 3. By 3. Let me hop into the chat. Shout out to you, Frederica. Jonas says 5 rings on 2 offensive linemen, and Zach tight end has 1. Bobby Wagner has a ring. Some great vets on the Commanders. 100%. There's a lot of good talent. There's a lot of veterans over there. A lot of experience for the veterans. Like I said, your big difference in this one is going to be just the experience in this kind of moment for Jalen Hurts. But I don't think you have to worry about that with Jayden Daniels. And it's really wild to say that because at the end of the day, the opportunity has presented itself against the Lions, and we've seen a calm, poised, focused, young rookie quarterback out there having a fun time. He wasn't stressed. He wasn't worried. He didn't have that deer in the headlights look. He's looking like this is where I'm supposed to be. And how do you beat that? The only way you beat that is if you can break that spirit. And if you can't break that spirit, then this is going to be a hell of a game. Because if you give me the opportunity to come out on this field and I'm able to play my game, and sure, we can go back and forth. My defense is making stops. Your defense is making stops, but I'm holding along right with you, or I'm playing a little bit better of a game than you are. You can't break my stride. So in the end, there's going to be a play that changes things, and it could be on either side. But I just feel like the Commanders have the momentum because the pressure is more so on the Eagles than it is on the Commanders. The pressure is more on the Eagles to go out there and perform because you got Jalen Hurts. You got this offensive line. You got Saquon Barkley. You're supposed to win this game. And so the Commanders is like, hey, we're here now. We're the new shiny toy. You're last year's thing. And this could get very interesting. But like I said, I'm taking the Commanders by 3. Commanders by 3. Good morning to you, Bills fan. Shout out to you. Shout out to Purple. Let's go, Purple. Good to see you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Says making Vegas and ESPN liars. Injury report. Let's get into the injury report. Obviously, this will change as we roll into the weekend. Everyone's questionable. Like I said, all this is going to be questionable. So it's not really something that we're going to, pay attention to now at this point, because we're not really going to know who's going to be ready to go and who's going to be out until the weekend. So, but there's your injury report for right now. Says something about teams that have nothing to lose. That's a fact. Shout out to you, Fabrizio. Shout out to you, bro. So Jayden wants to go back home and play at the Saints Stadium. He is an LSU boy. He wants to show why he won the Heisman last year. I agree. And I think, like I said, there's so much opportunity here for Daniels coming into this game. And that's not to sleep on the Eagles. That's not to say that they don't have the talent. That's not to say that they can't win this game, because we know they can. Like I said, there's a lot of pressure on the Eagles in this moment. And if the Commanders can find a way to actually hold Saquon under about 80 yards and put him in the same kind of situation where they force the same kind of situation where the Bills held Derrick Henry under or around 80 yards and forced Lamar Jackson to throw, that will be the same kind of situation here for the Commanders. If you can hold Saquon Barkley under 80 yards and force Jalen Hurts to throw, that's going to be your best opportunity to win this game. This defense is very physical, and I think that's going to be in their favor. So, like I said, I'm rolling with those Commanders by 3. By 3. Says Jason says, here's a question to ask. Being billions of dollars and our investors to the Super Bowl, what would happen if the NFC champion does not show up due to the controversy with the Chiefs and the refs? I mean, I don't even know how to answer that question, bro. I mean, listen, all these teams, billions of dollars involved. The show goes on. The show goes on. No one's not going to show up. It's the ref situation is clearly just a talking point. for the general public. Now, I will say this, and this is a story that we can probably get into tomorrow. I will say this. The NFL ratings have dropped. And that's not just from a point of looking at stories that I've seen in official news coverage. The ratings have dropped, and I know they've dropped because channel traffic has dropped. I go look at other channels as well. Their traffic has dropped. So if the views have dropped for us and the views are dropping in the NFL, that's starting to maybe tell us something. That's starting to maybe tell us that things are starting to make a little change. And that also may signal why the NFL is trying to open up the door internationally. And that's a topic that we'll get into tomorrow during tomorrow's morning show. But there's a lot to discuss there. So it brings up, okay, people aren't liking the product that the NFL is giving now, or they don't like the teams that they're seeing in these final playoff scenarios, and they're sick and tired of it. So something to break down, something to digest, as we'll get into it tomorrow. But that's another story that's going to be hugely talked about as the seasons go on, as far as why the ratings are the way that they are. So we'll get into that. 1 second here, y'all. Ooh. 1 second, y'all. What? Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Shout out to you, Randy. Says refs ruined the game. Detroit lost, therefore NFL dropped. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of people definitely wanted to see a Bills Lions Super Bowl or a Ravens Lions Super Bowl. Some kind of situation like that. But the ratings have been dropping over the last month. It's not like, it's because a specific team dropped. I think this is an overall issue as far as specifically with the product that the NFL is giving. And also, there's a flip side to this. Prices for these streaming services going up. Everybody can't spend an additional $3 a month on Netflix, which just went up. That's a whole nother conversation. Everybody can't have Netflix, Amazon, Peacock, and all these other, streaming services and all that kind of stuff. YouTube TV and all that. Everybody can't afford that. So if you have to pick and choose, right? Like I've got Amazon Prime, YouTube TV, Netflix. I have NFL Plus, which I barely use unless I end up watching a game because I'm not streaming and I'm out somewhere or something like that, or I'm sick or something, and I'll just be on my phone watching the game. I also have ESPN Plus, which I don't use, which is ridiculous, but I'll probably end up using it because there's some March Madness game that we'll probably need it for come March Madness. I don't have Peacock. What else? What else is there? Disney Plus. I don't have Disney Plus. I had it. I got rid of it. HBO Max. I had it. Got rid of it. It's so much. It's so much. So I could definitely see where things are starting to become an issue as far as from a price point and the product that the NFL is giving. I think that's something to talk about. I think it's something to talk about for sure. As it says, I've noticed that mainstream media doesn't support NFL as much. It's too dangerous and too masculine. I don't think that's it. Yeah, I mean, I think that conversation's there, but I don't think that's what's changing the idea as far as ratings. Shout out to you, Jason. Yeah, without a doubt, we'll get into that segment tomorrow. Says, did Mahomes get to answer about the flop? Don't think so. Well, he answered about the ref situation, so there you go. Most are having a hard time buying groceries. Keep it real. Verbal, you said it. You said it. Listen, I got to go to the store after this and pick up some groceries. And I'm probably going to spend about $200, and $200 is probably going to get me about 3 to 4 bags of groceries, maybe. 20 years ago, $200, I probably would have got 8 to 9 bags of groceries. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah, Paramount. Yeah, it's too many. It's too many to name. Sal says NFL will be played in a huge studio soon. Have filled stadiums. You know, even when you look at the pricing of the season tickets and things like that, it's really crazy. And everything just keeps going up. I seen that the Bills Stadium, Highmark Stadium, had a sandwich that cost $25. One sandwich, I think it came with fries. It was $25 for the one sandwich. I think a cup of beer was what, $12 to $15? One, right? Now, if you want something a little bit more premium, you're going to pay like $20 for it. That's just for you. So let's say your ticket for the game is right around $300. You go with someone else, bring a friend. You're looking at about $600, depending on what game it is, right? Let's say it's a ridiculous game. Your tickets could be right around, let's just call it $1,000 for a good game. You got to eat. You're going to have some drinks. You want to have a good time. You very well could spend $1,200 for one game in the regular season. And that's not if you have season tickets. That's just buying regular tickets off the market. It starts making sense as far as who the NFL is for at the end of the day. Shout out to you, Trent. Jeff King says tops 5 for $19.99. Right? Yeah, you gotta hit that tops. Get that 5 for $20, y'all. Get you a little beef, a little steak, some pork chops. DJ James says $25 sandwich better be 6 feet long. It is not. Don't get me wrong, the portion size is decent for one individual, but $25 for any sandwich is crazy. It's crazy. Sal says these owners have huge grapefruit dolphins and just raise prices. Yeah. It's wild. King Early says GOAT Mahomes don't need no referee. Well, he sure was caping for him. He sure was talking about it. As we get back into it. Says, good luck, Buffalo. Y'all gonna need it. That's hilarious. No, I think y'all gonna need it. The pressure's on Kansas City. Pressure's on Kansas City. All right, as we keep it going, before we get into the Bills and the Chiefs, make sure you guys hit that like, that thumbs up. We're currently at 25 likes. Let's try to get to 30. Let's get 5 more likes, 5 more thumbs up as we keep it going. We'll get on to these Chiefs and these Bills next. Shout out to John, says Bills are winning this Sunday. We're about to get into it. Jamie says my friend was at the game Sunday, spent $22 for a sandwich, $19 for a drink. $40 for one sandwich and one drink. It's insane. Tyrone says Coors Light 24 ounce at Redmond James was $22. Just one. Crazy. All right. Last but not least, y'all. Well, now, this is probably one of the most significant scenarios of a championship game ever. And I'm not discrediting and I'm not downplaying the Commanders and Eagles. We know that's a huge game. Obviously, it's a game that leads to the Super Bowl. But this one just seems so much more important for some reason. Whether you're a Bills fan or not, I think, or a Chiefs fan or not, you are looking at this game as one of the most important in history. And this game is going to lead to a lot more emotion. This game is going to lead to a lot more hype because you have Patrick Mahomes. You have a Super Bowl champion multiple times, who is now looking to try and three-peat. You have Josh Allen on the flip side, who is looking to get into the Super Bowl for the first time, who is trying to get these Bills back to a Super Bowl in the last almost 30 years. This is very, very interesting. And like I said, this is very significant for sports in general. I'm sure everyone will be watching this game. I'm sure everyone will be tuned in to see what happens between these two. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Bills, Chiefs, AFC Championship, Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. And it's going to be a hell of a show. Hell of a show. The spread. Chiefs are favored at home by 2. The over-under is 47.5. Money line is minus 130 for the Chiefs, plus 110 for the Bills. As far as the matchup predictor, Bills favored 54.6% versus 45.4% for the Chiefs. Now, this is where it gets interesting because I feel like there's so much hype and so much energy in regards to these Chiefs for the wrong reasons, right? I feel like everyone thinks that the Chiefs are the big bad bully. They're not. The Chiefs are not the big bad bully. The Chiefs are a team that will do just enough and wait for you to screw up. They don't win games. You lose games to them. What does that mean, Jay? A win's a win. What I mean is the Chiefs aren't playing to win. They're playing to help you lose. That's what it means. And if you give them enough opportunities, and if you don't play mistake-free football, well, guess what? You are playing to not lose to them. That's the difference. So when you go on to Arrowhead Stadium, are you playing to win or are you playing to not lose? This is the difference, and this is what the Bills are going to be walking into when it comes to that stadium. Are you going out there to win? Are you going to play in dominant fashion? Is your defense going to get to Patrick Mahomes? Is your defense going to not care about the flags and actually put hands on him? This is going to be the difference in this game. Because guess what? If I'm Sean McDermott, I'm telling this defensive line, I don't care about the flags. Put your damn hands on them. We'll deal with the flags later. We'll figure it out. There needs to be hands put on Patrick Mahomes. If he feels invincible in that backfield, he will be invincible back there. If it's a 3rd and 14, guess what? If you give him too much time, he's going to pick up the first down. If you give him too much time, he's going to figure out how to get that roughing the passer penalty. Oh, let me fake the throw. Oh, I'm not going down. Run for a little bit more. Oh, you going to hit me out of bounds, flag? Ref, where you at? That is how he's going to get you. So guess what? To avoid all that, you get your flags out early in the game. You get your flags taken care of early in the game. Get you a little unnecessary roughness, a little bit of pressure. I'm not saying hurt the man. Y'all know we don't do that here. We're not talking about injury. I'm talking about put your paws on him. Make him feel your presence. Once you do that, once he feels like he's not invincible, that's when Patrick Mahomes becomes vulnerable. We've seen this. For those who actually pay attention, when Mahomes gets touched, that's when he becomes vulnerable. If he throws a pick, that's when his confidence drops down a notch. When that happens, that creates the opportunity that a team needs to start dominating over this Chiefs team. Now, if you let him get in his groove, if you let that Mahomes magic come out, if you let him link up with Travis Kelce 4 and 5 times for 20 yards, 15 yards, guess what? He going to be right in his element in Arrowhead, doing what he always does, is go out there and control the game and win. Can you out-coach Andy Reid, Sean McDermott? I gave you some credit over the past few weeks. I gave you some credit towards the end of the season. Are you now in the chair and are you playing chess? You now have the pieces on the board. You are sitting across from Andy Reid, and you're playing the Grandmaster. Are you ready to get a victory against the Grandmaster of chess? This is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what it is. Josh Allen has now tamed the wild beast. Joe Brady has figured out a way to make him very efficient. He has figured out how to move that clock. He has figured out how to give the Bills the advantage with the time possession. And I love it. I enjoy it. But in this game, it's not going to be about that, because that's Kansas City's game. What Joe Brady has done is he's modeled the Bills game to be like the Kansas City game. Run the ball, short passes, Mahomes runs around, throws it down to Kelsey, get Gray involved, short plays, couple flags, move down the field. Before you know it, we've had the ball for 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Now you got it back. Defense makes a play. Now we got the ball right back. Or you can't move the ball down the field, so you got to punt it away. In this game, Joe Brady needs to unleash the beast. You've tamed Josh Allen to get to this point. Now you need to unleash the beast. You need to let him run and improvise on third down. You need to let him throw that ball down the field. We got to catch Cooper down there. You got to catch Shakir down there. Mix it up with Ray Davis in there. You need to catch Kincaid. Put in that 2 tight end set. Bring in Knox and Kincaid and get that going. You have to move this ball down the field, because if I'm Kansas City, I'm looking at this as, all right, we know their game plan. They're going short. They're going with the run. They're going to cook involved. We're going to stop that. So now, if I'm Joe Brady, I need to understand that and unleash the beast. Throw that damn ball down the field. If it ain't there, go ahead and take off and run. Go back to the old Josh Allen, but with the refined mentality and going out there with the ability to actually win. That is what I think needs to happen. Now let me get into the chat. Shout out to Jamie, says, did anyone see the Bills Mafia have raised $45,000 for the charity of tight end? And I did see that. Without a doubt. Shout out to the Bills Mafia holding it down. Always coming through. Bills Mafia always comes through with the charities. 8 sacks, Jay, and a block kick. I agree. Let's get physical. Both the head refs this weekend are big time flag throwers. That's fine. That's totally fine. Jeff says, can you dig it? Can you dig it? I got to watch the movie. It's been a minute. What up, Steve? Shout out to you. Jonah says, made Cam look scared to recover a ball that was a foot away from his feet. Wouldn't die for it. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I said someone is going to have to take one for the team, right? Someone is going to have to take a significant flag. If you know the flag is going to be thrown, you might as well as fully execute. If you know, once again, if you know the flag's going to be thrown, you might as well as follow through completely. It's going to be the same penalty either way. So follow through, put some pause on them, and that will gives this Bills defense some opportunities. Now on the flip side, Kansas City. What do you need to do, Kansas City? Well, Kansas City, all they need to do is stop Cook, force Josh to throw. If Joe Brady keeps the same kind of approach coming into this game, as far as with the scheme he's used to get to this point, it will be a massive failure, because the Kansas City defense is very strong, especially in these championship games. So for Kansas City, all they got to do is stop Cook, force Allen to run, and keep him in that pocket. If you keep Josh Allen in that pocket, keep him throwing, that will lead to a big problem, because guess what? Now Allen's going to have to rely on his receivers to catch balls. Now, can he do that? Sure. But you still don't want Allen to have to throw every down. You want to put him in position to get the run going. If the run's not there for Cook, well, then you're going to expect Josh Allen to run it, expect Josh to pick up those yards. If you stop Cook, you then force Allen to run. Now, what's he going to pick up? 4, maybe 5. If he finds some space, he'll get a first down. This is where the opportunities come into the Chiefs play because they've been very good at stopping the run. And so I think, the opportunities coming to this one for the Chiefs, they play their game. Andy Reid, like I said, it's the same situation with the Bills. We want to control the clock. You're not going to beat Andy Reid at that game. The only way you beat Andy Reid is if you put up the points. Because if I go through the points here for the Kansas City Chiefs in the last 5, Texans, 23-14. We're not going to count the Denver game. That was the last game of the season. Pittsburgh, 29-10. Texans, 27-19. Cleveland, 21-7. We get into the Bills, 27-25, 31-7, 40-14, 24-21. You got to put up 30 or more, Bills. You got to put up 30 or more. You cannot play Kansas City game 20, 27 points in the fourth quarter. You want to have that in the third quarter. You want to be leaning towards the 30 to 35 towards the end of the third quarter. Because if it's going to be a high-scoring game, that's what you want. You don't want a low-scoring game. You don't want it to be in the 20s because the situation then turns into a call. The situation then turns into a flag. You don't want this to turn into a one-possession game or a one-decision game, or now you have to play perfect football because if you make any kind of mistakes, you then put the ball back in Kansas City's hands or Patrick Mahomes' hands. And what do they always do? At the end of the game, they always have the ball in their hand no matter what. So you want to make sure that you have the ball in your hand at the end of this game while having a substantial lead on these Chiefs. So what do I expect? I think I expect a strong game on both sides. But for me, I think Patrick Mahomes has not been able to put up more than 30 points this season in these games for a reason. I look at the issues and, what he's had as far as going as his offense. They really started to pick up speed, obviously, later in the season coming into these playoffs. But I think the Bills have a big difference here as far as the offensive scheme and the talent. There's so much going on with the Bills coming into this game that Andy is going to have a tough time really figuring out the matchups. And that works in the Bills' favor because Allen and this team, they're not relying on one specific receiver. They're not relying on, just Diggs. They're not relying on just Gabe Davis to get down the field. And so when you take those two away and then you open up the field and I've got 4 or 5 individuals that can catch the ball, well, now it's like, okay, who do we really pay attention to because everyone's open. The field's open now for Allen. And if it's not there, he's not going to throw it. He's going to run the ball. So this is why I say open up that field, unleash the beast for Allen, give him the opportunity to really move that ball. Don't play Kansas City's game, and I think the Bills will move on to the Super Bowl. Now, score-wise, we see the edge. The spread here is Kansas City by 2. Over-under's 47.5. I just think at some point in this one, we're going to see fast start back and forth. And to be honest, I want to go over. I'm thinking high score, but that will favor the Bills because Kansas City is going to want to keep this a low-scoring game, long, drawn-out defensive battle. I think this will turn into a shootout, but I'm going to take the Bills by 7. I'm going to take the Bills by 7. Shout out to Dr. DC. Is expecting great things from Spencer and Cook again. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. Sal says Bills give up 30+ in the road in the playoffs. McDermott defense better show. I think the difference for me in this one is Patrick Mahomes isn't Lamar Jackson, right? So you're not going to have a situation where Patrick Mahomes makes too many mistakes. And that's why I say you have to bring the pressure. You have to bring the pain early. You have to shake him up early if you're going to have a true shot at winning against him. Because if you allow him to move the ball, if you allow him to pick up those big third downs like he normally does, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long night for the Bills. And, you may not win this game. You are going to have to bring that pressure. You're going to have to put your hands on them. And like I said, you're going to have to sacrifice a flag. You're going to have to sacrifice a flag. You may have to sacrifice a couple. That's the reality of this one. You may have to sacrifice a couple flags to get the point across. And if you don't do it and you end up getting the flag anyways, well, then you're just going to cost your team. Right? There's going to be nothing worse than having a situation where you barely touch Patrick Mahomes, the flag comes out anyways, and now he's smiling as he picks up a first down and gets an extra 15 yards on you. That's the reality of it. Because Kansas City doesn't give a damn. They're like, oh, we think the refs are calling a fair game. They're calling a fair game. Why would I do that in a press conference? I would do that because I want them to keep throwing the flags in my favor. I'm not going to agree with the people. No, they're doing a great job. A wonderful job. They're doing everything right and by the books. This is why you'd have Patrick Mahomes coming out in a press conference and say this with all the noise going around. I know I'm heading into a championship game, and I know these people are officiating it. Oh, no, these guys do a wonderful job. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They handle things by the book, proper guidelines, and they absolutely try their best. I'm not going to go on a podium and scream that they're not, because that then affects me. I'm not getting, if it is in favor of me, if I go against the process, then it's not going to go for me, right? So the conversation now goes into, well, who are they going to favor more, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, right? And it's sad to even have that conversation. We shouldn't be talking about it. We should just be talking about who we think is going to win fair and square. But we know that in this game, it's going to be some ridiculous flags. And all I'm saying is, hey, if there's going to be a flag, make it count. Make it count. Hey, and that goes for both sides. Because we don't know how the refs are going to operate. The refs could operate in the Bills' favor. You just don't know. You just don't know. Listen, we know that Vegas is involved too. We don't know how this is going to go. So there it is. Let me hop in the chat. 15 plus 18 equals 100. Mahomes plus Kelsey. That does not equal 100. You got it wrong. So there you go. Says, I hope they show Taylor Swift a lot. Just a psychological distraction. Ridiculous. Steve says, I have a good vibe. Thumbs up. Bills are intimidated by the champs. I agree. Not being intimidated is very, very important. I don't think the Bills are worried. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. I feel great. I felt great coming into these playoffs. Nothing has changed that. And nothing's changing now. Bills are going all the way. So, like I told you before, last season, the year before, I've had this little, I'm not really too sure type feeling. Now, I haven't been this confident in years with the Bills. Decades. I'm very confident now. And so coming into this one, like I said, it's going to be a great game. There's going to be some back and forth stuff going on, as expected, as it should be. But we knew whoever won between the Bills and the Ravens were going to go on to the Super Bowl. So this is just situation being fulfilled as it is. Hell of a game. I'm excited for it. We will be streaming it, so make sure you're here for it. Make sure you lock it in. Of course, and, of course, subscribe. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate you. It's lunchtime. I'm going to grab some lunch. So I thank you all for spending the morning show with us. Much love to the Wrench Gang. Much love to the family. We'll see you all tomorrow. We'll get into as far as, the NFL ratings and all good stuff. We'll have some more trending news for you, whatever's going on. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for the morning show. And you guys have a great, great Thursday. Peace out.